Welcome to You Can't Handle the Truth, where we dive into the real, raw truths about health, wellness, and self-growth. I am your real talk guru and your rebel healer, here to cut through the noise and dig deep into mental, physical, and spiritual health, uncovering the truths many aren't ready to confront. But we're going to do that together. Today we're here to talk about a hard truth. 1 to 2.5 million women become homeless here in the United States every single year. Now, you might say, why am I talking about this today? Why do they become homeless? Many of these women become homeless because they've been in abusive relationships. Some of them are young and have abusive family situations that they are trying to escape. Some of them just can't pay their rent and can't afford the cost of living. And this brings me to a question from a rebelette. I don't know why I picked that name, but I just think it's a cute way to address ourselves, because I think as women over 40, we are rebels. So sit back, relax, get your drink, and welcome to You Can't Handle the Truth. My name is Natalie, and we're going to get right into this. Tina says, I'm 39. I have 2 children, 8 and 10. And live in a townhome with my husband. I tried for a third child earlier on in our relationship, but it didn't happen. And so her and her husband have been thinking about how great it was going to be, that now the kids are a little bit older, that we're going to have more free time. And then boom, a pregnancy test, and positive. She says that this could be the child, that third child that she always wanted, as she had a miscarriage earlier on in their relationship. But also now she can't see herself. She doesn't know if she sees herself with another child. She has a 3-bedroom townhome, 2 children, so her and her husband in one room, and the other 2 kids each in a room. So where is the baby going? She says with the economy the way it is, she cannot see herself buying anywhere bigger, a bigger place. And obviously she's contemplating termination of the pregnancy. And for those of you who are triggered by this, you can click off if you want to, because we're not here to judge. What I'm here to talk about is why someone would come to that decision. And if you can understand my first comment about how 1 to 2.5 million women become homeless every year, that might give you a little glimpse as to why she might be making such a decision, or might feel forced to make such a decision. So as I read this, and I thought, I want to come talk about this, because this hit home for me. When my parents divorced, my mom became homeless with her children. And when I got divorced, I became homeless with my children. My first marriage ended in 2008. That was during the last recession, and it looks like we're going into another one now. I was able to move in with my mom, but we were basically homeless. And when you think about 1 to 2.5 million women, maybe don't have anywhere to go because there's no family to take them in. No family will take them in. Can you imagine that and I'm going to digress a little bit because I want to bring a little bit of context to the conversation that I'm bringing to you today. When I divorced or started my divorce process, my home was being foreclosed on and moved in with my mom, she had people ask her why she was helping me. Why would she, in this stage of her life, why would she take this on with because it wasn't just me. I went with my 2 children. And that's a lot to ask. So I'm truly grateful for that she was able to give me a year or 2 reprieve to get it together, because now I have it together. So that's the beauty of it. If you can help someone, you just never know what they might do with themselves. But many times there's no family to help, right? No one is willing to help. Everyone has their own lives and situations, children's drama that they're dealing with, that they are not willing to take on anyone else's drama. And I can remember as a child when I became homeless with my mom, sometimes we were in basements, on mattress, on dirt floors. And it's like, when you look back, and I'm not saying this for sympathy or asking for sympathy. I'm saying this because when this woman asked this question about what she was asking for opinions about what advice other women over 40 have for her as she's hitting her 40s and she's getting ready to make this decision, I decided to do some research. Okay? And I thought about, wow, I can remember it being really rough on my mom, and I can remember it being really rough on me trying to figure out how I was going to sustain with 2 children. And in this day and age, it's seeming like a lot of people can't even sustain on their own because of the economy is so bad, and with inflation and the cost of everything, food, gas, buying a vehicle, buying a home, it's like almost not even a dream anymore for most. And when I read her question, when I saw like the dilemma and the situation that she was in with her husband and her 2 children that she had already, I did some research to see how much does it cost to raise a child? Because right before I saw this, it was on the news that morning that with the recession, everybody's going to incur an additional $6,500 a year of living expenses that most of us don't know where we're going to get it from. And most people don't feel like they have that in their budget. It's not even, they don't feel like they have it. They just don't have it in their budget. They don't have anywhere to pull that money from. And when I did the research and I saw how much it costs to raise a child, drop a comment down below before I tell you. Drop a comment down below and let me know if you know how much it costs to raise a child from 0 to 18. Well, I'll give you a little bit of time to drop me that comment. It's a total of $256,000 per child. The average American makes about, the average educated American makes about, and that's with a college degree, makes about $60,000 a year to start out of school. So if you're young and just getting out of school, that's $55,000 to $60,000. The cost of housing is going up, the cost of food is going up. And in the first year of having a child, the expense for the first year alone is about $20,000. So imagine if you're a single mom making $60,000, and that first year is going to cost you about $20,000, and that's up about $6,000 or $7,000 from 2022. We are now in, this is what, April of 2025? Let's say 2.5 years later. We've had a 30%, is that a 30% increase? About 33% increase in the cost of having a child for the first year. Only the first year. So depending on where you live, renting a home, buying a bigger home, if you need 4 bedrooms, forget it. How much are you going to pay? What percentage of your income is going towards that? I even went so far as to look up how much just for diapers, like for 1 month. What is it going to cost me for 1 month for diapers? It can be, there was a range, right? So I guess there's always a cheaper route, and then there's the more expensive route for those who can afford it, or for those who choose that route because that's what they want the best for their children. I find it hard to believe though, because when I googled, it said it was anywhere from $30 or $60 a month to $1,500 a month for diapers. I'm like, that's a huge range, but you guys tell me, because I haven't bought diapers in a long time. My kids are older, they're in their 30s. To me, $1,500 a month for diapers is enough to break someone. That's just diapers. How about the formula? The clothes, the daycare. Here in the United States, we only get 6 weeks postpartum to be home with our children. We don't get, like most other countries give 90 days or 3 months or 6 months. I don't know what it is depending on the country you live in, but here in the United States it's 6 weeks. The medical care for that child, vaccination, insurance, you have to add them to your insurance, right? So with someone that already has 2 children, you can see why they might consider not having another child, or why they might consider terminating their pregnancy, just to be blunt, because they are not in a financial position to have another child. The average family cannot, $256,000 for over a lifetime, $20,000 for the first year. Inflation has added an extra $6,500 a year just for your basic living expenses like food and housing and things like that most people can't afford. How are you going to afford to have a child? I think a lot of us now are finding that our children I don't know if it's that they don't want children, or they just realize that they can't afford it. They can't afford themselves. And so this is the hard truth that we're faced with. And when you think about maybe like in the last century, I don't know, there was a time where when you had children, it was a tribal thing. Like you raised your kids, you had family support, and most people anymore do not have family support when they're raising their children. You are on your own. If you're lucky, you have a grandma and grandpa that will come out occasionally and give you a break, because most people don't even live near each other anymore. We're so spread out over the United States chasing jobs. And then now with the economy the way it is, people are facing layoffs and uncertainty, because most people count on their jobs to be able to pay their rent, feed their family. And when you think about being homeless with your kid, this is a situation where if something happened and with 3 kids and you're out on the street, right? This is not one of those episodes where I can say, oh, I have advice for this woman, because you can't tell anybody what to do in a situation like this. I can't tell you, yes, have the baby, or no, you know what, you should terminate your pregnancy, because the other side of that is that there are emotional, mental repercussions when you terminate a pregnancy. That sticks with you your whole life. But at the same time, We still have this life to live, right? This moment to live. And she has 2 children that she's raising. And I can't even, what's really sad to me is that she's not considering not having this child because it's not something that she wants. Because it really sounded like this is something that she wants, but she just doesn't see where she's going to get the finances to support another child in her life with the 2 that she already has. $256,000 over a lifetime. 3 children. That's 700 and I don't know. What is it? $768,770,000 over her lifetime, her and her husband's lifetime, that they will spend to raise these kids. You think about that. So I guess the next time we think about asking our kids or hounding our kids about having kids, because I see a lot of that too. That's the other coin of this, is that I see a lot of threads where people are like, hey, I've decided I don't want any children, but like my parents keep asking every time we go to dinner. It's about, when are you having kids? When are you having kids? Because there seems to be this sort of obligation that we have to have kids as women, right? And I get it that we're here to create and procreate, but at the same time, who's going to support those kids at the end of the day? If for some reason these women are struggling and hit a hard spot and can't support their kids, will they have the support of all the people? Not just the mental support, the financial support of all the people who are asking about these kids? Or do they, after the fact, after they have the kids, now it's your responsibility, right? So if it's my responsibility, then it's my decision about whether or not, how I choose to go about this. And I'm not here to talk about the legality of things, because I know some states now don't give women that, but some states do. Obviously, if she's thinking about it, she's figured out where and how she can make this happen if she wants to. And I'm not here to judge. So if you're here to judge, don't leave any judgmental comments about that. You don't bother about that in the comments, because this is really about the fact that she's having to make this decision because of the cost of living. What's a family to do in this situation? Accidents happen, and you would say, well, why wasn't she using birth control? She was. Birth control is not foolproof. I think she said in the letter that she wrote, she was using the circadian rhythm, she was timing her cycle. But here's the other kicker for my menopausal ladies out there, my wonderful ladies over 40 out there. Guess what? They tell you it gets harder to get pregnant as you get into your 40s. But when you're using your circadian rhythm, right, your cycle to time when it's okay and when it's not okay to have sex so that you don't get pregnant, guess what? That rhythm is changing as you get older. It's easier to find yourself with an oops as you get older, because that timing starts to change as your hormone levels change. And then I just saw this morning that there's I don't know the name of the woman's shelter, but I think it's Gloria Estefan and Giselle, I can't remember her last name, Bootkin. And I'm sorry if I'm not pronouncing that, but Giselle Bootkin and Gloria Estefan, they had a commercial for a women's shelter to help all these women who are out. And when you hear the stories about how women end up homeless, One woman said, yeah, her husband beat her up. She had to leave with her kids. Another one said she couldn't afford, she lost her job. Homeless. Another one said she was 18 or 17 and was being abused in her household, so she had to leave with nowhere to go. So anyway, these are just some other factors and the reason I bring up homelessness is that ironically, when you're homeless and you don't have any method of preventing pregnancy, a lot of times these women become pregnant and homeless. $256,000 over the lifetime of a child. How, that barely seems affordable, and that cost is just going up. I was watching the news this morning and they said the pharmaceuticals are going up. On top of things, right, after you have these kids in your 40s and you need hormone treatment because your hormones are changing. You are in that change of life, right? Your cycle's changing, your hormone levels are dropping. It's more expensive. They wonder why women choose between taking care of themselves and taking care of their families, why a lot of women don't take care of themselves when they have children, especially at that age. Well, I don't know what will come of all this. This was a hard truth for me to dig into. Let me know what you think. Let me know if you know anyone that's struggling. I'm going to find the link for the homeless shelter and the phone number for the shelter and put it down below in case there's anyone out there who's homeless or struggling. And you can either donate if you want to, or maybe someone needs some help and they can have that information. But yeah, it's quite a choice to have to make in this day and age. And it was funny because I was just about to make another video. I have another one planned for you guys to talk about a little bit of a different subject. Or maybe it was this one. I can't remember because I have a few different topics that I'll be talking about. But either way, I was thinking I wanted at one time 10 children. In what lifetime? At $256,000 of a child, right? There's always a difference between what you want, what you need, and then there's what you can afford. That makes a big difference. Many women younger than me at this point are making a choice not to have children. They're choosing themselves. Many men are choosing themselves. They're choosing not to have children. Anyhow, drop me a comment. Let me know what you think about this cold, hard truth that many have to face and that we have to face, right? As we're in our 40s, if you have children, you have to face the fact that they may not want children because of this, unless someone's going to help them. How will they afford it? Anyhow, thank you for joining me today on You Can't Handle the Truth, and drop me a comment. Let me know what you think about this, and I will see you in the next one. Stay well.